This is a story that I know about the time a Wendigo had visited the reservation. This happened a few years ago, around 10 at night. I lived by myself, and I was getting ready for bed. I turned out the lights and was beginning to lie down. I thought I heard some scratches on my window. I had just lifted my head and looked at the window to see nothing. About a couple of minutes later, I hear it again, but it was louder this time. I spooked. I jumped out of bed and got to go see what it was. Me being a lazy idiot, I didn't bother to turn on the lights in case it was nothing. I just used the light from my phone. I looked at my window. Nothing again. Then I hear a knocking on the window in the next room over. I think, what the? And walk to the room where I hear it coming from. Nothing again. I go to lay down and hear a bang on the roof. It sounded like something big jumped up there. The footsteps banging on the roof, walking to where my room is, and then it just stops. So I lay there and listen to whatever it is going on, and now it was dead quiet. I don't know why, but I got the idea that if I knock on my wall, it would go away, thinking it was somebody running from the police. I knock on the wall, and I knocked back on the roof. I yelled at it to get off my house. This is private property. It began to bang on the roof and window at the same time. I jumped up, grabbed my 9mm, still using the light on my phone, pointing my pistol at the window, yelling to just leave. Then, it jumps down and started hitting my window. I froze there with my pistol. I looked out the window to only see a 7-foot-tall figure, and from what little I can see, I snapped out of it, ran to the front room. It around my house, scratching the wall as it made its way to the front. By then, the neighbors' dogs must have saw it. They started losing it, barking and howling like I've never heard before. Then, whatever it was began to leave, running up the road, making a strange howling noise. It made me want to piss myself. And then it was gone, running a few miles up my grandparents' house, jumping and running on everybody's roof, howling like crazy. Somebody called the police, and when one arrived, the thing ran in front of his car. The police officer froze staring at it. It was this 7-foot-tall, skinny black figure with what looked to be a deer head. The thing had blood on its hands and seemed not so interested in the officer. The thing then ran at high speed to the woods, never seeing it again. It seemed the blood on the thing's hand was a visitor that was attacked while camping on the powwow grounds. She was at a party when she thought she could just walk back to her campsite and sleep, when, as she said, a large figure began to chase her. It scratched her on the back of the leg, making her fall down. Her cuts and gashes were deep. She began to scream in pain and looked up at the thing, but it was now gone. The scream of the lady was heard from security patrolling the powwow grounds. Nobody knows what it was. Some say it was a Wendigo that came in with the visitors coming to see the powwow. I have no idea what that was, but it's not going to be the last strange thing that happens at the Mystery Ranch. My friend and I were on a 40-plus-hour road trip across the country. We got to talking about glitches in the Matrix and the Mandela effect. We're both from the universe before the switch. You know, J.C. Penney without the extra E, Karate Kid with the red headband, etc. But we never thought we'd experience a real-time glitch for ourselves, not even an hour after. It's me, my friend and her teenage daughter, and her daughter's boyfriend. We're hauling horses 1,500 miles across the U.S. So, when stopped this particular time, my friend and her daughter ran in to pee while I decided to check on the ponies. I also really had to pee. So, I made sure they were standing, filled with their water, and headed to the door. I noticed a mom and her young son making their way to the door at about the same pace as myself. I remember thinking, oh no, they're probably heading to the bathroom as well. And if it's small, I'll probably have to wait. Should I try to run ahead? Nah, the little boy may have to go just as badly as I do. I held the door open for them, and Just as I figured, they make a beeline for the bathroom. I follow, and just as they open the bathroom door, my friend is now standing there, also reaching for the door. They do the little awkward dance to get around each other. Mom and son make a left inside the door, and I step back to let my girlfriend out. I give her a dumb line like, "No, fancy meeting you here," or something, and walk in after them. The bathroom was small, only 2 stalls, and about enough space for one person to stand inside the door and wait. Both stalls were closed, so that's what I did. Right when you walk in, there was a small stall straight ahead, the handicap stall on the left, where I assumed the mom and son went, and the sink directly on the right. You could reach out your arms and touch them all in the space I was standing. As I was waiting, I noted how quiet it was. Not a lot of shuffling like you might hear if 2 people were navigating the same bathroom stall, nor any talking actually. Maybe mom and son just knew the routine and didn't talk much. The stall in front of me finally opened, and a young girl came out. I quickly rushed in. The toilet sat directly in the middle of the crack between the door and the wall. Great. That meant I could see the door and almost the entire bathroom. I heard the handicap door open, and out walks my friend's daughter. If she was in the handicap stall, where were the mom and son? They definitely did not walk past me. I would have noticed if they walked out after me. I sat down. I finished up and walked out of the bathroom, scanning the small gas station and parking lot for them. Nothing. I don't know what kind of car they got out of, so I don't know if they're still here. I went back to see if there was maybe a family bathroom door close to the woman's, that they had somehow walked back without me noticing and rushing into the family bathroom or something. But there wasn't. I'd asked my friend if she remembered the lady that almost ran into her in the bathroom. She did, so I know that part was real. Now, I asked her if she remembered seeing where she went after she walked in. She couldn't remember. I know this isn't overly scary, or really all that interesting, but it's hurting my head to think about. I cannot figure out where they would have gone, or if perhaps this really was a true glitch in the Matrix. Me and my friends were a little group of paranormal investigators that lived in a town called Nixon. The town was about 7 miles away from the town of Fort Clover and the Mystery Ranch. Everyone in Nixon tries to visit the ranch, only to be stopped by the ranch's private security. They threaten to shoot anybody who trespasses on the property. Here's our story of what my little team experienced on our visit to Fort Clover. My name is David. I'm 21. I joined this team of mystery detectives with a couple of friends that I know. Their names are Katie, who's 19, Jacob, who's 22, Sam, who's 21, and Evie, who's 19. We are a group of friends that got the idea of being paranormal investigators from this TV show, Paranormal Busters. The show is about 3 guys essentially that try to go out and debunk fake videos by staying at that haunted place for the night. We thought, let's go to Fort Clover, sneak into the Mystery Ranch. Sam and Evie's parents had a couple of night vision cameras, so we thought, why not? We went to the Bonkers Plaza, where it had a store where I worked at. The plaza was next to a gas station called Dino Store. That was next to a river. Me and Evie went to the plaza, while the rest went to the Dino Store. That's when Evie asked about the time we worked the night shift, and the items in the store get thrown around. I laughed, saying that's why they named it Bonkers Plaza. You never know what comes in those doors. I then got the idea that we should investigate the plaza. We went back to the others at the gas station. I told them my idea. Evie didn't like the idea because of a couple of bad experiences at that bad place. I told her, don't worry, it will be okay now. There's more of us. She said, you know I hate it there, especially at night, since that incident. I know, but please, it's been years since that happened, I told her. I said, we should come back and investigate here after we investigate Mystery Ranch. Sam agreed, since we might just send home by the ranch's security. We then all agreed with that plan, all except Evie. We then got in the car and drove to the mystery ranch. We parked about a half-mile from the ranch. We got all the equipment out. We had 3 night vision cameras, 3 walkie-talkies, 5 flashlights, 1 medkit, and a pistol with 1 magazine. Jacob began sparking up a joint, and we began talking about what there is, what's out there at the mystery ranch. I said Skinwalkers. It's the only reason everybody visits Mystery Ranch. Evie asked about the basket lady. Rumor has it, she took a couple of kids, and the family stay quiet about it, so she won't come back. Katie also said, what about the water babies? I heard you can't go by the river or lakes at night. Jacob said, why can't you go out by the water at night? Katie replied, you will hear what sounds like a baby crying in the water, and when you go to see it, a horde of what appear to be dead babies covered in moss grab you, and you're never seen again. Jacob, of course, just laughed. Sam then talked about Goatman. I seen him once in a bar. Sam was sitting on his stool, pounding a few shots, when a strange-looking guy came in and stood next to him. He asked the bartender for a drink and asked Sam how it's going. Sam said fine today, since it wasn't so bad. That's when Sam happened to look down at his feet and only see goat hooves. Sam freaked out and looked at the guy, and that's when he saw the head of a goat. The goatman began to laugh and drew the attention of the whole bar. Everybody in the bar took one look and ran out of the bar screaming of fright. Sam fainted that he had never seen anything so horrifying. When he woke up, the thing was gone. The bar completely empty. Even the bartender had left. Jacob laughed and said enough of that stupid story. Sam, oh yeah, Jacob, what are you scared of being out there? Jacob said that time an alien got its blood on a marijuana plant and made some killer glob of resin after it got smoked. Sam laughed again and said that's so dumb, what a stupid stoner story. Let's get ready and head out. As everybody was getting geared up, Jacob said, let's not run into a Wendigo on our way there. We split into 3 teams. Me and Evie, Team 1. Sam and Katie, Team 2. That left Jacob by himself, Team 3. Okay, I said. Team 1 will go to the abandoned house, where the kids went missing. Team 2 will go where the ranch's livestock stay. Team 3 will investigate on the dirt road where Skinwalker and Wendigo sightings have happened. Jacob got the pistol, because he was all by himself. We all then split up and went on our way. Me and Evie made their way to the abandoned house. I was holding the camera, while Evie had the flashlight and radio. I began recording while talking to the guys, like paranormal busters. I asked, is this the place where that thing is to the child? Is this the place where that thing to that child that was using the restroom? Nothing happened. I then said, the mom saw you watching her lay in her bed. She said, you was looking at her through the window with your big red eyes. The next day you were gone and so was her son, I said. And again, nothing. I turned around, said this is pointless to Evie. We ain't gonna get anything. The radio began making a static sound. We looked at the radio, and that's when something hit the ground right in front of us. We looked and seen a dead dog carcass. Then, we heard a loud thump right behind us. We slowly looked behind us to see a large figure with a dead deer head. It then made a loud shriek, grabbing me by my leg. All I could see was what appeared to be a tall, skinny body as I was upside down. It then threw me to the ground, started to claw at my back. Evie froze in fear, holding the radio with the static still going. I then yelled at Evie to run. She then snapped out of it, running back to the van. I was trying to do everything I could to fight this thing. I was throwing dirt and rocks at it, grabbing at anything I could. And there was nothing I could do, as it grabbed me by the neck with only one hand. It began to choke me slowly, as the only thing I could see is a dark figure with a deer head with red eyes. As I began to lose consciousness, I hear 3 bangs. very distinct bangs. The thing then lets me go. I could barely move. I look to see Jacob aiming his pistol at it. He fires a couple more times, but it didn't faze this thing. It then opened its mouth while shrieking and tried to bite Jacob on the neck. It did, snapping his neck. He died instantly. The thing ran away with him still in his mouth. I began screaming for help. That's when Evie and the others came and found me. Evie asked where's Jacob. I told him to come help you while I got in the car. I said that thing took him. We gotta get him. That's when a bunch of spotlights were on us. A bunch of MAI agents were telling us to freeze. They asked us questions about what we were doing and what we saw. We told them. They said to keep quiet about Jacob and to say he ran away when asked. A few days passed when they found Jacob's body. It was across the river that was by the stores. Somebody found his body in what looked to be a woodshed in the woods. There were other remains of a missing family in there. Evie said that's why she hated it at the store, because of the strange activity there. I think it's just a ghost of the victims killed by that thing haunting the stores. I don't know. It's all just a mystery. I still work at the store sometimes, and I still see Jacob walking at the corner of my eye, only to disappear when I look at him. I wish we just investigated the store instead. Maybe then, Jacob would still be alive. I don't think this one will be the end of our team. It was 8 p.m., and we were 1 hour from closing the supermarket that I work at. There was only 3 people working at that night. Me and 2 other girls that worked the night shift. The store was called the Plaza Market, and it was only a few miles away from the famous Skinwalker Trail. I was working the cash register, while the 2 girls were stocking the shelves. There was nobody in the store when I began to fall asleep. That's when a customer had come in. I've never seen this guy before, but working in a supermarket, it was nothing unusual. I said hello, and I noticed the guy smelled like death. I try not to be rude when the guy asked if I had a smoke. I told him no, and that I don't smoke. The guy then asked if I've ever seen any pretty girls around here. I looked at him and said not at night. Everybody usually goes in at night. The guy looked at me kind of angrily and said, "You know where the girls are. If you don't tell me, I'll just take you on the trail and vanish with you." I laughed and said, "Whatever, man." That's when the guy told me, "You don't know much about Navajo people, don't you?" He said he practices black magic and can shapeshift into anything he wants. Me being a half-breed Native American, I said, "I'm a sun dancer, and that his black magic will only hurt him if he tries on me." The guy said it might not work on you, but what about the girls that work here? You can't save them. I then said to the guy, I don't like threats, and I demanded he leave the store. He did, but after saying he will be back, but in another form. I laughed at him and said his black magic will only work on the others that don't know how to bless themselves, but not me. Now, it was around 8:45, 15 minutes until we close. I didn't think of blessing the plaza, or the girls and myself. I thought the strange man was just crazy talking, maybe from watching a dumb Skinwalker ranch show. I went outside to grab the cart, and bringing them back inside, when I heard a scream. I hurried, running back inside. That is when I saw the thing. It was a tall, skinny black shadow, glowing red eyes, standing in front of the girls. The thing was towering tall, maybe around 9 or 10 feet, with a giant dog-like head. The thing grabbed one of the girls by their hair and began to drag her out of the store. Me and the other girls grabbed onto her leg, pulling her towards us. The thing was so strong for the both of us and was almost out of the store with the girl. That is what an elder, who was also a sun dancer, walked in and saw it. He looked at the thing and began to say a prayer in Ute. The thing then let go of the girl and tried going after the older man. The old guy was a lot stronger than the thing and pushed it back out the door with ease. The old guy then told the thing, "My good medicine is a lot stronger than your bad." The thing ran off in the dark, howling and screeching. The man asked us if we were okay. They was, and it was closing time. But because of what he did, we let him shop for his needs and then closed. He blessed the two girls, but ran out of sage to bless me. He told me, "You're a sun dancer. You got nothing to be afraid of." I laughed. I only danced for 12 years, which I'm good, but I'm no pro, like the old man who has danced his whole life. I said bye to him and the girls as I began to walk home. I was about 1 mile, maybe 1.5 miles to my house. I had to walk through an open field that was very dark until I made it to the road. I was a quarter way to my house, and I thought I'd heard one of the girls I worked with say, "Hey, stop." I turned around, and that's when I saw the thing from the store. The only thing I could see was its glowing red eyes looking at me. The thing then said in one of the girls' voice, "I really like you," as it began to run after me. I turned around, bolting down the trail. I got about halfway when I fell over, and the thing began to claw at me with its giant elongated fingers. The thing ripped my shirt off, and I began to bleed. I grabbed some dirt, throwing it at it. The thing howled as it stopped attacking me. I got up and began to run. I made it to my house, thinking I had lost the thing. I had hidden my house in the dark, looking out the window. I saw nothing. I ran to my room, grabbed my WSAR-10 that was specially blessed by my elder. To give you an idea, the gun had holy damage for those that don't understand. Any other gun will not work than these things. I grabbed the gun, but could not find any mags. I thought I knew where they were. That's when I heard a knocking on my window. I froze, looked up at it. That's when I heard somebody say, "This is where you live. I found you." I recognized the voice as the man that stank of death. I yelled at him to go away, and I got my rifle with me. The man just laughed and said, "Guns won't work on me," as I shape-shifted back into that tall, skinny thing. He broke my window, grabbing for me as I ran to my other room. I began looking around for the magazine, where I found a little 15-round one. I said it's better than nothing, and exclaimed. I stood there in the dark, listening. The thing jumping on the roof, stomping around, having a tantrum and howling. The thing then jumped off the roof, and now all was quiet. I loaded my rifle and walked to the front room, looking out the window. There was nothing there. That's when the thing then slammed against my door, breaking it open. The thing then walked in imitating one of the girls' voices, saying, "There you are," as I began to walk toward me. I put the round in the chamber, firing a couple of times at it. I hit it once in the leg, twice in the gut. The thing ran and screeched out the door, howling in pain. The police then arrived at the scene from somebody calling, saying they had heard gunshots. I explained to them what had happened. The police don't believe me, saying it was a home invader and I was overreacting. The next day, I went to work with the same girls from last night. One of them said a white lady went missing after a stranger walked in the bar. The stranger had been shot in the stomach and leg, and the lady went to give him a ride to the hospital. She was never seen again. Everybody else at the bar said they had never seen the man before, and that he had stunk of death.